All right, Annabelle Comes Home. This was a one I saw opening night as usual, and my expectations were moderate. I was like, okay, I liked Creation. The first Annabelle is a okay movie. I know a lot of people absolutely shit on it, say it's like the worst movie ever, along with like The Bye Bye Man and all these other movies that everyone just loves to hate on, Slender Man, these things. And I'm like, you guys don't watch bad movies. Clearly, you don't watch bad movies because these are just okay. They're not terrible, like Wish Upon or something. These movies that come out that are just very forgettable. Yes, they're not good, but they're not trash like people say. There's good things about them. They're well shot. They have good production value. There's some decent acting. There's some cool moments. Like, you can't say a movie's absolute trash when there's good things to say about it. That's just how I feel about it. Like when I talked about Death House and I was bashing it the way I was in that review that I gave is because I fucking could not find a single thing to say positive about it. Not one single thing. Nothing. Not a production, not a nothing. The only thing I think of the best I had to say was like one of the chicks had nice tits. That was literally all I could come up with. So that's trash. So Annabelle Comes Home comes out and I'm like, all right, this is Gary Dauberman. He's never directed before. He's written a lot of really cool stuff, but can he direct? So I went into this just kind of like, yeah, whatever. I fucking loved it. Loved it. Like legit, arguably my favorite film in the Conjuring universe. That is going to be some controversial shit for some people. Don't fucking care. That's my opinion. And I've gotten blasted for my opinion enough. You know, bring it on. But I did. I really enjoyed this. I thought this was like a perfect haunted house movie. Just so well paced. The characters all really worked for me. And that's just it. If the characters not working for you, if you're not buying into the atmosphere, any of that stuff. A big surprise for me was Ed and Lorraine Warren. You know, Vera and freaking Patrick. Yeah. I'm blanking on his last name right now though, but whatever. They came in and I was just like, wow, I did not expect to see these guys like anywhere near as much. I saw them in the trailer and I was like, they'll have like a 2-second cameo, but they didn't. They play a significant role in this. Yes, it's secondary, but they're in the movie 15 minutes at least. And that just really, really surprised me. Patrick Wilson. So yeah, that surprised me. I love them. I think they're my favorite on-screen horror couple. Just there's something about their chemistry. There's something the way they play off of one another. It's fantastic. It's really just mesmerizing to me. I love Ed and Lorraine Warren's relationship in all of these films. So there's that. All right. So we have them driving the Annabelle doll back to their house, and whilst doing so, they see there's an accident. They go and their car breaks down in front of a graveyard. And watching this and watching any of the Conjuring movies or anything, Ed and Lorraine Warren, I don't know. I'm not going to say whether they're full of shit or not. You know, I have my own opinion on that. Doesn't really matter. So I'm not going to go down that road. But let's say that what she has going on in this movie is real. The way we see it. Like the way it's presented to us, if this was real. The way we see it. What a horrible thing to have. What a horrible curse to have this ability. To be able to see all of this evil. To just be plagued by this shit all the time. When she looks over at the graveyard and there's just oodles of bodies just standing there staring at her. And, this freaking creepy ass thing in her back seat. And then the one goes and pushes Ed out in front of a truck. And terrifying. Just terrifying. And just to live with that day in and day out. I mean, how many places are haunted? How many ghosts are walking around? Do they only go to like specific places, haunted houses and graveyards, and that's it? I mean, they've got to be a little more spread out. So I don't know when they present themselves. I know that they say that Annabelle is a conduit for spirits So there, she draws entity and spirits in to her presence. So I guess she was having way more activity than normal there. But yeah, just terrifying, just absolutely terrifying when she's looking around. I'm just like, that's her life. That no way. And they also take control of the truck, supposedly. I don't know if they take control of the guy's actual truck or his body so that he can't move and the truck is going at him so he couldn't hit the brakes. But I feel like with the way they pushed him out in the road, did they really need to take over the truck? I mean, the guy had no time to react regardless. So the fact that he was able to get out of the way at all was impressive. But yeah, I mean, that's some scary stuff. And they actually address that. Why don't we just get rid of Annabelle, destroy her? And she said that would only make it worse. Would it release the demon? Like, what would it do? I don't remember if they mention it in the other movies. I'm sure they do. I can't remember what the exact explanation for why the doll's destruction. It's been probably a year since I've seen either of the first two. So yeah, if anybody's got an explanation of what will happen once the doll is destroyed, she just says it would be worse. And this essentially is just Judy's story. So in The Conjuring 1 and 2, we get Ed and Lorraine Warren. This one, we get Judy Warren. So this is just the child Warren of the Warren family. This is her movie. And the production value is high. I think the direction is slick. I really look forward to seeing what Doberman does next. I had heard he was working on Salem's Lot, if I was hearing that correctly, if I remember that correctly. I'd love to see him direct it. Salem's Lot is my favorite Stephen King novel, so to see him write and direct that with what he did here and the other shit that he's written with It and all that stuff, fucking A, dude, put that guy on there right now. The 1970s production value, the attention to detail on that stuff with the outfits and the grocery stores, and like, they don't need to do that stuff. They don't need to have a grocery store. They don't have it's just added authenticity to the time period. And I can always respect stuff like that. When Mary Ellen and Daniela go in there and Bob Scott Balls is behind the register and that whole setup. I mean, how much does it cost to make a freaking grocery store look like the 70s? But they pulled it off, and it adds to it. It definitely takes you on a journey to a time I wasn't even alive. So I can't tell you if it was realistic or not, but it looks from every other 70s movie that I've ever watched that was actually set in the 70s. And that's what that would look like. So there you go. I really like Bob. I really like every character. I really bought into everybody. And I feel like everyone's character arcs are completely well-rounded and have closure to all of them. Like, everything that's set up with these characters is rounded off and addressed and has a finality to it. And I would be fine with seeing more from them for sure, but I feel good with where I was left off. With Judy kind of having this she's reclusive and she's an outcast because of what her parents are doing, and she's kind of bullied at school, and that's rounded off really well with her arc of kind of meeting and bonding with Daniela and her relationship with Mary Ellen, and then kind of, all coming full arc and coming back down to Daniela talking to her brother and then bringing all the friends over, and she's got her friends at the end. That's a really sweet journey for her. And then Mary Ellen's got this crush on Bob, and Bob's got this crush on Mary Ellen, and they're too shy to handle each other, but through this, they come together. And then Daniela, she's got her dead dad, and she gets her closure with Lorraine at the end, talking to her about how he talked to her, and sweet Daniela, so she knew it was real, and it's to stop blaming herself and all that. It all is so well rounded. The writer genuinely cared about his characters. There wasn't any plot lines that were set up and then never explored and then closed off. I love that kind of stuff when everything's kind of tied off at the ends, where this is a contained film, that this probably isn't going to have a future film to it with these characters, although it's open enough, of course, if this was successful enough in this franchise that has spin-off potential with And speaking of which, holy shit, man, does this movie have? I don't know any other film in this franchise or many others that has this much potential for spin-offs. That's what they love to do, right? So Conjuring 2 set up a bunch of spin-offs. They set up the Crooked Man, they set up the Nun, they set up, they set up all these things. And we got the Nun movie. I don't know if we'll ever get the Crooked Man movie. It's possible. I don't think it will happen because they've been talking about it for so damn long, but we still don't have it. And I don't see any movement on the needle when it comes to that film, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's maybe it's filming right now for all I know. But last I checked, it's always in pre-production or in talks and work. So, but this one, I mean, how many things are in that room? Just when you go into the Warrens' room, and this is the best look we've gotten at the Warrens' room. Yes, we've seen it in the other films. We've seen it in the Conjuring movies. We've seen it there. But this one, when Daniela is really exploring that room, and we see the TV, and we see the ferryman's, coins, and we see the haunted dress, and we see the samurai armor, and when we see the monkey, and we see all these items that are everywhere, and it's like, dude, any one of these could have its own goddamn movie. Even, I don't know if you could make an entire movie off of Feely Mealy or anything, but there is plenty of objects and items within that room. It's a treasure trove of spin-off potential. You could make a Conjuring universe. You know what? Our universe, sorry, they already did that. Conjuring television series. You know what would be really kind of cool? Is if they went the Friday the 13th, the series route, where every episode they kind of address where each object within that room came from. You could have Vera and Patrick come in and be like hosts for the show essentially, and they're just telling the story of the past of what had happened. You got 5, 10 episodes or 6 episodes, 8 episodes a season. How fucking badass would that be? That'd be really cool, wouldn't it? I think so. So what do you guys think? I think that would be badass. It'd be an anthology series with all of the Warrens' artifacts. They need to put me in charge of something, man. All right. Where did we leave off? And yeah, I mean, it sucks because Danielle actually put that doll back up in there, and she was gonna leave, but then the freaking smoke alarms go off, and then the doll falls forward and locks herself out. I feel like as soon as she opened that glass, though, then boom, it was already out. And but she had to close the door again because that's all it had to be doing. It's just like that. I would figure if the doll didn't want to be contained again, as soon as it was released, it would have taken control of that samurai armor and just broke the glass and been like, you're not containing me anymore. So that does seem like a little logic breakdown there. Like, if Annabelle didn't want to be locked up again, why is it even letting itself be found? Why is it like opening up the closet and showing itself? Why isn't it just hiding itself like up in the attic in a box or like out in the backyard? Or why isn't, I don't know, can it leave the house? I would assume it can. So if like it doesn't ever want to be locked down again, why does it have to go? Who knows? It's a movie. Of course, you could always break down logical moments and be like, well, why wouldn't it do this? That takes the fun out of things. Unless it's super glaring, obvious, like, come the fuck on. That would never happen in a trillion years kind of thing. You just kind of got to go, just cuz. That's why. You don't know what the actual reasoning is behind it. So, yeah, anyway. And we get a sense that Judy has some of her mom's abilities in this. I like when they call up Lorraine on the phone and they're trying to talk to her and she's like, is Annabelle there? Reminded me, of course, of The Strangers. Is Tamara there? And the... I don't even know what the hell this is. Bride gag. Oh, yeah. Okay, so when Judy's in the room and the bride is walking around her and she's in like every reflection, she's in the other room and then boom, she's there. That's a really cool setup. I really like that. She's knocking everything off the wall as she comes around. We've seen it before, but I just liked the effectiveness of it in this. And the ferryman is pretty damn cool, although I don't know how much you could do with him as far as a movie goes. I feel like they did the majority of what they could, but when like she puts the coin up and then it just comes in and takes it from her, I thought that was really cool when she sees him and she puts the flashlight up and the coins just drop and all that. I don't know why she needs to walk into the room to pick up the coins and look at them. Like, what's she gonna gain from that? Like, that's those moments where everyone's in the theater yelling, like, "Bitch, get out the room!" I definitely agree. I would be like that, but it's just one of those moments you gotta say, well, she's, I don't know exactly why. She's greedy, man. She wants to steal that shit. She's gonna put it in her pocket. She's like, this is worth a lot. We get a possible, um, we get a possible nod to the next Conjuring movie because there was speculation that the Black Shuck, the Hellhound, was going to be the next movie. That's what I had heard, and we find the case file in this, and when we see it, it says there's 4 bodies. So I don't know if they'll stick to continuity there, and if they do that, will we have 4 deaths in the movie? When Ed and Lorraine Warren arrive, will there already be a couple dead bodies, and then you have to take those into account? But they're investigating, and there's 4 bodies at the time, so I don't know what the third movie is going to be about. I do know it is filming right now, and I think Michael Chavez from The Curse of La Llorona is the director, if memory serves me correctly there. So we'll see. I know people will instantly go in there wanting to hate it because James Wan isn't directing it. I feel like the same thing happened with Insidious 3, which actually is my favorite in that franchise. Yet another reason to hate me. But I just really liked that one. Dad-daughter relationship. There you go. And the pizza guy. I don't know why, but the pizza guy, and the first time I watched it, when he comes up and he gives her the pizza and he's like, here's your pizza minus 1 slice. I enjoyed that in the car, and he walks away. I don't know why I found that so funny in the theater, but I did, and I fucking laughed a good amount at that ridiculous comment. It just seems like something I would say awkwardly as I was walking away to try to be funny. Although I fancy myself to be pretty fucking funny and to land my jokes, but people don't normally get my humor when I'm actually on. They always laugh when I'm like that. That's always the problem, man. When I tell jokes in person, like the shit I think is gold, like the stuff that I'm delivering, that I'm like, oh man, I'm going to kill people with this joke. They're gonna fucking literally die in front of me of laughter and curl over, and they're going to expire right here on the spot. That shit's like, I get like courtesy laughs, which is like the most it's like the most insulting thing ever. Don't ever courtesy laugh me if you ever meet me. Fuck that, dude. Just be like straight up, that wasn't funny, fuck you. I would take that well over someone being like, yeah, I'm Jason anyway. Fuck you. Don't ever do that. But it's the shit I say that I'm like, oh, here's a throwaway joke. Here's a throwaway line. And people are like, they like lose their shit. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? That joke landed, but this genius joke over here didn't. I don't even know why I'm on this shtick right now, but there you go. A pizza guy minus 1 slice. Hilarious to me. No one else probably would have got it in that moment. The Bob serenades her. That's a funny scene because it plays into the Bob's got balls thing, because I really do feel like Bob does have balls in that situation, because he clearly doesn't even really know how to play guitar. How many of you would have the balls, the balls to go out and serenade a chick with very little guitar experience, clearly? Or maybe he's just so nervous. He can play it perfect at home, but he's just so into Mary Ellen, which is the name of the street I grew up on when I was a kid, so it's always weird to hear that name. But, I mean, would you really go to some girl's house that you're not even 100% for sure that likes her? I mean, shit, Danielle could have been lying to him for all we know, goading him. But regardless, he goes, serenades her in front of the freaking house. That's some ballsy ass shit. And then poor dude gets chased off by a fucking werewolf, and she goes out and thinking he ran away. Although she would have to probably assume, like, oh my god, we left him out here. He thinks I rejected him. Oh no. She doesn't even have that. She thinks like he just left. Why would he just leave? Get the fuck out of here. That doesn't make any sense. She would be like, where the hell did he go? There you go. And the TV in the background that shows the future, that was pretty cool. Although, as I said, that's another thing that's good for a couple gags, but I mean, how long could you play that kind of scenario out? The anytime something messes with reality, I always sit there like, oh come on, that's not fucking fair, and that just is scarier to me because like when Mary Ellen's trying to yell for Judy through the door and she's like banging on the door, and then we flip to the opposite side of the door and in the room it's like quiet, you know, you can hear freaking a pin drop in there. It's like super quiet in the room. It's like, oh man, you're messing with reality, man. You're messing with the sound and everything as we know it. That's not fair. If you can manipulate that, what else can you manipulate? So that's terrifying. And Annabelle's looking for a soul. They're always looking for souls. What do they do with these souls? They collect them. They got like a fucking, it's like a Fabergé egg collection. The samurai armor, we could definitely see that. See, this is what I'm talking about. I don't feel like these are good enough for movies, but I could definitely see an anthology television series with how these things became cursed and what they went through. I really like the Feely Mealy thing where they find the card and they're like, I know where it is. And then they stick their hand in there, they grab the key, and you think, oh, okay, I guess this was just a throwaway thing. But then when Judy walks past it, arms start coming out of every freaking orifice. This thing has orifices. I thought that was pretty cool looking. It reminded me when they originally stick their hand into the darkness right there. Of course, it kind of took me back to the original Phantasm, where he puts his hand in there and she's like, just relax, Michael. And he's just like, I can't, let it go, it's hurting. It's fear, that's all. There's nothing in the box, just fear. It's good stuff. So yeah, that reminds me of that. I need to freaking review. I have all 5 of them sitting right behind me. I just got the 5th one at the Dollar Tree for $1. I didn't need to tell you that. You know how much things are at Dollar Tree. But yeah, regardless, I'm excited about it. Because it's a very cheap movie, so I think I paid just about what it was worth. But we'll talk about that in the future. Daniela actually throws on the possessed dress and comes after him, and then Judy throws on the projector on her. That's a really cool sequence, man, when Daniela comes in. Because this is a movie that features no deaths. And I think it works beautifully. These movies don't need deaths. They just need scares. You don't have to have a death for it to work. There's plenty of haunted house movies. In fact, most haunted house movies, no one dies. It's because it doesn't really need it. It's not part of the tension. You can have scares and you can have things kind of come in and out and locking them in the house and all these things without any of them dying. Like in slasher movies and stuff like that, the antagonist needs to kill you in the moment because they're physical manifestations. They're right there in front of you. Not a manifestation, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, but you know what I mean. But yeah, in these movies you really don't need any. And so I love the projector up on her, and then when he puts up his rituals and he's got the cross and it's like on her, the look of that is all super cool. And yeah, I mean, Mary Ellen went in and she got the doll from her own dead body. Imagine seeing your own dead body and having to combat against that mentally and physically, literally as well. Dude, she would be so wrecked when the Warrens came home, even if they got out of this. And then the demon attacks. The demon look in this it's okay. It's a little much. I don't know why, but I'm not a big fan of it. It's kind of like, reminds me of the one in Insidious, the Darth Maul looking one. It's just, I don't like it. I don't really like it. It's just too on the nose. It's too cartoony. It looks like the freaking, it looks like, I don't even know what. I was trying to place what it looked like when I was watching this. I was like, it looks like something familiar to me, but I can't really put my finger on it. But I don't know. It's too slick. It's too, I don't really know what the words are, but I know that I'm just not a huge fan of the way the demon looks. I'm guessing that's the demon that possesses Annabelle. So not a big payoff on what the Annabelle does. Because when it comes down to it, the Annabelle doll isn't really a factor in these movies. She's just a conduit. It's just an object in the background. It doesn't do anything. The only movement we ever get to see from her is in that like color changing light where she's like standing up and then she becomes something. That was a cool sequence as well. It actually gave Annabelle the ability to technically move, since we don't get to see that any other time in the movie. She's the titular character of the fucking movie, and she's never really even a character, so it's weird. And I like how when it all ends and Bob is there and he spends the night and then they go to leave and she's like, yeah, I'll go to the dance with you. And he goes in for the kiss and she just moves away and like doesn't even acknowledge, nobody acknowledges him, and he's just in the background like, oh, and then he just walks out and leaves. But we see him later and she's like, this is my boyfriend. Man, they got together fast. I want to say it was like the next day and she's like already boyfriend, girlfriend. Good for them. And I also like how honest Mary Ellen is, and Daniela and Judy and everybody, because she's just like, we tell them everything. Usually in these movies, it would be like, we never speak of this. You never tell them this and that. No, we tell them everything. We go out, we tell them, and Daniela and Judy are like, yep, 100%, let's go. I love that. That's rare. I never see that in these kinds of movies. So I like the honesty of them. And then, yeah, I kind of already talked about Daniela and her closure and Judy's closure with the friends and all of that stuff. So I really liked it. All of it really played well for me. The second viewing, I still love this movie. It's one of my favorites of the year. So there you go. Those are my thoughts. And